to us, we want to make sure that it is supported as seamlessly in the game as our regular content. So making sure that there are locations where it is easy to get into Foundry content, not just always into the giant catalog of Foundry content. We have in each zone, there are Foundry contacts that will filter all of the content to show you the stuff that happens just in that zone. So it's kind of a way that you can sort of trim down what's going on so that you can see the things that are appropriate to where you are right now. As far as rewards go, we are trying to match our rewards as best we can. Now it's challenging because there's always the risk of being able to set up exploitive missions so that you can level fast and gain stuff fast. But we are trying to make sure that we find the areas where that's possible and we take care of that without impacting the actual experience of a normative player. So as far as I'm concerned, you can level just as well in the Foundry as you can in our content, and everything is set up to support that. So I am just as happy if you've gotten to level 60 just playing stuff that other players have made than if you go through the stuff that we made and put into the game. So it's something that we're super excited about. So we're doing everything we can to make sure that we are promoting the really good Foundry authors and the really good Foundry content right on our landing page, which is what shows up when you log into the game, where we sort of show you like, hey, these are the really cool things you can do. There's an entire strip just for Foundry in there that shows you all of the latest and greatest Foundry episodes that are coming out. We're working on ways for you to be able to subscribe to authors and to campaigns so that you can get notices anytime they put out something new. It's something that it really is important to us, and we're trying to make sure that we have lots of mechanisms to make it very, very easy, not only to get in and make really cool content with the Foundry and tell all those stories that you told with your friends when you were just starting to play D&D, and making sure that that's easy, but that it's also easy to connect to it, to make sure that that you can get in and find those things and follow the ones that you like, and figure out what styles of gameplay that you like, who are the authors that are writing that kind of thing.
The difference between authors who write things like a dungeon crawl versus one who's writing something like a murder mystery.
Yeah, and those are both. That's great. It's what we love that we're going to get all sorts of content, and so players are going to be able to play whatever specific kind of D&D that they really like. We want to make sure that the tools are there for you to get in and to find those and latch onto those and really get the best experience for authors and players.
Well, so I hear that the Neverwinter Foundry is in of itself extremely impressive. How does it compare to the tools that designers and developers in Neverwinter use to create, say, dungeon instances?
Sure. Well, it's built on the exact same engine. Basically, it is. We have streamlined it and taken out some of the things that aren't really necessary. We do all sorts of crazy stuff when we make content internally, and our editor is it's a very good editor. It's extremely powerful. It's very raw, so you really kind of have to know exactly what you're after to be able to implement content with our regular tools. And so we made the Foundry system get rid of a lot of that mundane, know exactly what or the sort of very specifics, like know exactly which function you need to call and how you need to call it and how you need to fill it out. So it does a lot of that grunt work for you. In a lot of ways, it does a lot of the things that we do much faster and easier. The downside is that there's a slight limiting in what it can do. It's not quite as wide open. It is still extremely wide open. You can still do triggers, and you can listen for events, and you can have things happen based on something that happened before. It is very, very robust and very powerful, but it does a lot of the hard work for you. So, one of the things that is always really kind of hard is, designing for a game is half scripting and half creativity, and so we're making sure that as much of that scripting is handled as possible, so you won't have to worry about, oh, did you close that parentheses, or wait, was that a double quote or a single quote? Or you don't have to worry about any of that stuff. It handles all of that. It handles all of the. Anytime we could come up with a list that said, okay, when we sit down and we make a mission, here are the things that we have to do. Here's this list of a dozen things that just have to happen before we can even do anything. Or when we make a map, here's this list of these 24 things that just have to happen, or it won't work. Anytime we could come up with a list like that, we get the Foundry to do that automatically for you behind the scenes, so that you can just focus on, what critters do I want to use? What kind of cool costume do I want to make? What sort of map do I want it to be in? Is it combat, or is it a diplomacy mission? Is it so you can go through the list and focus on telling the story, and what kind of cool twists and surprises you want to put into it, and not really have to worry about did this field get filled in? Did this field get filled in? Is this warp door pointing to the right name for the spawn point that it's showing up, right? So they're very similar, and in fact, we are creating a good chunk of content in the Foundry ourselves for launch, to help make sure that the Foundry, even from day one, has stuff for people to play in, and that's a lot of the designers are really loving it, because it's you get to focus on a different aspect while you're making everything, and so it's a pretty interesting experience for us to go from the full editor to the Foundry. There's so much stuff there that's just nice and streamlined, and we're kind of begging to get it ported back into our full tools. Hey, we're tired of doing that stuff too. Let's get that feature into the full tools too.
You're too used to being all the way under the hood, elbows deep in the grease and code.
So
you did bring up something that I'm really curious about. The game, of course, has been only doing beta weekends so far, but there is certainly Foundry content. And of course, even in the first beta weekend, the first thing that I did after running through the dungeon was I went straight to the Foundry and I played some missions. Do you have some you've personally made?
I have one that I'm working on, but I haven't gotten it to the point where I'm happy enough to publish it yet.
Okay, but what you've got in right now is, at least on the ground floor of the Foundry, to show how it works, is primarily being developed by in-house designers at Cryptic?
We have a few from in-house, and then we also have a small testing community that we've built out of STO authors and Neverwinter community members, for the guys who are modding stuff that were interested in helping us out. So we have kind of like a little strike team that we are using to make sure that the Foundry makes sense to people, not us, not people who are used to our internal tools. And so we kind of have been picking and choosing stuff that's being published by these guys to bring into the weekends, so that we actually have the Foundry system up and running and can put it through all of its paces, making sure that people can get in, getting rewarded seamlessly. So there's a small group of people that we're getting, and we keep adding to this group as we get closer and closer to a finished product. So it's similar to how we have beta weekends, and then we have smaller alpha groups that are looking at specific features that we put in and that are maybe not quite ready for everybody to take a look at. So a lot of those missions are coming from that authoring community.
Have you had a chance to play any of it so far?
Yeah.
I'm really curious as if there's any particular current campaign developed by some of your designers that you'd like to highlight or say that you had particular fun in.
It's funny because it's sometimes surprising. The one that I really liked, I'm trying to remember the actual name of the mission, but it's I think it's Mutton Growl is the name of it. And it's just a simple, sort of straightforward little mission, but it's told in kind of a fun way and has a couple memorable characters in it, and it's a nice, simple, straightforward